Kathy, and I'm doing something new today. I'm making something called water kefir. And you may have seen kefir drinks like yogurt and different dairy products in the cooler section of your grocery store, but there's actually another way that it can be made. And it's actually made with different fruit juices, and it ferments and it tastes like soda. Soda is something that I had to break up with when I decided to have bariatric surgery, and it just wasn't something that was going to put me towards my weight loss goals. I've kind of missed it. I love water and I drink water frequently, but sometimes you just want something with a little bit of texture and a little bit of flavor. So I did also recently start making kombucha, which has its own flavor profile, but kefir or kefir, however you say it, has different probiotics than what is found in kombucha. So by having both, I'm going to expose myself to a more diverse gut microbiome, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. And that's why I'm going to make this today. 3 days ago, I put these kefir granules into some sugar water, and I can link a video down below to show you how I learned how to do that. But basically it was just 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of warm water, and you dissolved that, added 3 more cups of water, and then put the granules in. And so they've all fallen to the bottom. They were brown when they first started. Now they're white and translucent, and there's bubbles on the top, which means we are good to go for our second part of our fermentation. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour off and discard this water. And it definitely has like a little bit of a beer, vinegar, funky smell. You know this is fermented when you smell it. So I'm just going to pour that out, and we're going to take a look at what the granules look like now that they've been fed once via the sugar water. And this is my first time seeing this, first time doing this, so we're all doing this together. And they look great. They're nice and plump and gelatinous. I mean, they were like little brown flakes they looked like dried sugar, like dry brown sugar. And so now they're nice and fat and plump. And now these need to eat again. And so you can actually just make more of that sugar water and let that sit for a day, and it's good to go. You can drink the sugar water, and you save these because these are going to get used over and over and over again. If you've made kombucha at all, these are kind of like your SCOBY, even though they're not a SCOBY. But I'm going to feed them with some coconut water because this has great electrolytes in it. And I'm going to add some flavoring. So this is where we're going to experiment a little bit, and we're going to do this together. So you're going to say, Coach Kathy, juice is a big no-no. That's even worse for you than soda is. And some of it can be, but like the SCOBY, it eats the sugar, burps out carbonation, and during that digestive process, it converts the sugar into not as strong of a carbohydrate. So you're greatly reducing your carbohydrate exposure. It needs to eat that sugar, and the byproduct of that former sugar is what we are going to be ingesting. So trust me, it's okay to do. If you are diabetic or something, you might want to check this out with your doctor. But overall, this is just for gut health, and it actually can help with weight loss too. It's one of the benefits of it, in addition to helping diversify your gut microbiome. There's lots of good reasons why you want to be doing this. So I'm going to take 3 different mason jars, and I'm going to disperse these little granules evenly into these 3 jars. And it's looking like it's going to be, a little bit more than a tablespoon each. Of course I spilled some. It wouldn't be a Coach Kathy video if I didn't make a mess, right? Ooh, they definitely have a funky smell right now. But apparently they taste just like soda when it's all done. Like your SCOBY, these will multiply too. And so you can keep using them over and over, and every time you feed them and grow them, they're going to reproduce, and you're going to be left with more jellies to add to more bottles or to go gift to a friend. There's nothing better than getting a SCOBY from a friend if you're interested in doing it. And the more you use them, the more mature they become, and the more they produce too, which is really cool. So to our 3 bottles, and these are going to sit for just 1 day. In 24 hours, these will be ready to drink, but they won't be fizzy. But if you wait 48 hours, they will be fizzy. We are going to pour in some coconut water, which does contain some natural sugar. I'm going to do these 2 with coconut water, and this one's going to be straight juice. And I just want to see if the higher sugar concentration from the straight juice produces more fermentation than half coconut water, half juice. So let's see how this goes, because I'm curious. So these definitely need to be at room temperature. They need to be at a minimum of 68 degrees Fahrenheit and a maximum of 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So just keep that in mind when you're deciding where these are going to go. I'm going to set these right next to my fridge. I'm going to call it good. And as always with fermented things, you want to leave a little bit of headspace. So maybe just fill to the neck and then leave it. And how you're going to cap this, because this is a living organism, it needs to breathe. We're just going to cover it with some paper towel and an elastic band. So this guy's ready to go for the next 24 hours. Now this one, because of the coconut, I thought coconut and pineapple, I love pineapple. So we're gonna make this one a pina colada flavor, and natural sugars do count. However, monk fruit, stevia, anything like that, like if you were gonna use the Minute Maid 10-calorie juices, there's no sugar in that, so you're not gonna be giving your kefir granules anything to eat. So that is not going to work if you were already thinking ahead and thinking that. Remember, the sugar's not a bad thing because it's going to get digested. Now this one is going to be grape juice. I've seen where they've done straight grape juice, and because grape juice by nature is so sugary, one of the guys actually had his fermentation vessel bust. So you do need to be careful and be sure you're not just sticking these in just anything and screwing the lid on tighter. You're going to have glass and fizzy sticky juice everywhere. So these guys are going to have a nap on my counter for the next 24 hours. After 24 hours, I'm going to strain them, rinse them to remove any of the flavors off of the granules, and then start the whole thing again. I've got all kinds of more jars. So every 2 days, I can be making new kefir. After I've strained these and I've reserved the liquid, I'm going to be putting them into a swing top bottle like you would use for your kombucha. And so you're going to fill 3/4 of the way. If you don't want any fizz, you fill it all the way up. These are done. You can drink them tomorrow. If you want extra fizz, which I do, you're going to fill 3/4 of the way with one of these liquids. And then I'm going to put a little bit more juice just to bump up the sugar and give them one more feeding. So that extra feeding is really going to produce the fizz. So they do need to be refrigerated after they sit for one more day. So it's up to you how much fizz you want, how much of a hurry you're in. But again, you just rinse and keep going, rinse and keep going. If you do ever need to take a break, they said you can just go back and make that original sugar water that I said that was like 1/4 cup of sugar and 1/2 cup of water, let it dissolve, then add 3 more cups of water and put your granules in that, and then they can go in the fridge for up to a month. But they are living, so over that month, they're gonna be eating that sugar water, and if you don't either refeed them or take them out and there is a way to dehydrate them and use for future times, then they're going to die. So, you know, I'm still new to all of this too. I basically just want to drink some good fruity fizzy juice that doesn't have sugar and that does help my gut microbiome. And I just want to see how this goes. Okay, so it has been 24 hours since I first put my kefir grains into the bottom of these jars. And this morning when I woke up, I looked at them and I took the tops off, and I didn't really see any action happening yet. And again, this had only been maybe 16 hours or something. And they said, right at 24, that's when you're going to start to notice things. So I also noticed that it was a little cool here in our living room overnight. So I put the jars up on the shelf here above my oven so that my heat pump would be blowing directly on them. And so that really got things going. And I did hear that kefir, whatever, really likes a certain temperature. And then they like it in the 70s. So probably it was just more like 68 or 67, which is still in the approved temperature range. But they just responded better with a little bit more warmth. So it was right around 74 all day. And so now tonight we have bubbles. I'm going to flip the camera around. I actually don't think I can flip the camera around. But I want you to be able to see that we have definite bubble action happening. There's bubbles around the rim, which is a good sign, and there's bubbles floating up from the top. So if you remember, this is the grape that had the coconut water and grape juice in it. This was the pineapple juice that also had coconut water in it. So this is going to be kind of pina colada flavored. And then this guy here is the straight up fruit juice. Now I thought the fruit juice would be the fizziest because it had the most sugar, but this one's still a little on the sweeter end of things. But also it could just be because there's more sugar in this, that the little granules just need more time to keep eating this sugar. But I'm still gonna bottle it because I'm about to go to bed and I don't wanna risk it going like too acidic overnight. So I'd rather have one just as an experiment and it's still gonna continue to ferment. These are still staying on the kitchen counter. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pour them over into these bottles. These are just old kombucha bottles. You can reuse them. You want to just wash them out with soap and water and then pour boiling water in them and swish them around. Careful not to burn yourself, but just so that you sanitize them. These are all ready to go now and you can use them over and over and over. And they have the right kind of top so that they're not going to hopefully bust on you. And I could put them in my flip top bottles like I have my kombucha in, but when I'm reaching for these in the fridge, I want to know whether I'm reaching for kombucha or for my kefir. So that's the only reason why I'm trying these bottles instead. To do the second fermentation, I'm going to pour into these bottles 3/4 of the mixture that's in my mason jars right now. But now I need to give it a second feeding because we really want this to be fizzy like pop. So if you're second feeding, you need more sugar again. So that can happen via more juice, which is what I'm going to do with the fruit punch one. And with the pineapple one, I actually have some cut up pineapple left over from my tacos al pastor the night before. And I have figs that I'm going to try putting in my grape ones. I've actually heard that feeding your little kefir granules, they really respond well to figs for some reason, and raisins. And I also learned today, doing my own research, that every few batches, when you should soak them in that 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of warm water, and then 3 cups of water, sugar mixture with a tiny bit of either molasses or baking soda. And that gives them like an extra feeding. And then they'll be extra aggressive after that. And it's just replacing some lost minerals that they lose during the digestion process when they're eating all the sugar from what we're giving them. I'm just going to make my grape one a grape and fig. The coconut pineapple is going to be with fresh pineapple. And then my fruit juice is just going to get fed more fruit juice. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so let's do the grape one first. And so all I'm going to do is pour some of this in. And you want to make sure you're not putting your kefir granules into this. That's important. But they all stay on the bottom, so I just need to be careful not to pour any in. And if I did pour some in, I could just strain them with a strainer. So I'm going to go 3/4 up. Good. And then I'm going to drop in some pieces of my fresh fig, which apparently they really love. And they're just going to eat all of the natural sugars inside the grape juice. And then I am just going to top it up with a little more grape juice too. Chris and I are big grape fans. Like, it's our favorite flavor of Mio. It's our favorite popsicle flavor. We just really like grape. And you always want to leave some headspace because these are going to offload more gas and you don't want things to bust. I'm going to loosely cap that. And now that one's done. And I will pour over another one. I'm just not going to for the sake of the video. So what you need to do with your granules when these are done, you can rinse them off if you're going to do a different flavor and then just start again and pour more grape juice in here, or if you're going to do a different juice. But I'm going to do grape again because I still have a lot of juice left in my bottle. So I don't need to do one thing to this to get my next round for the next in 2 more days. Then just give this more juice once I pour this down enough that I've got enough in another bottle. This is what my grape guy looks like, and you can see it's already kind of interacting and fizzing right at the top, so that's a very good sign. Things look active. And now I'm just going to go in with my pineapple coconut water mixture. And when you are adding your fruit, these are kind of like more wide mouth than the pop top ones, so these pieces of fruit can be a little bigger, but you always want to make sure, we learned that the hard way the first time we started doing kombucha, we were like shoving fruit down in and not thinking that that fruit also needed to come back out. So you want to make sure your pieces of fruit are little enough that they can easily come back out of the mouth of whatever size vessel you have. I'm just going to top up with a little more juice. Now we're going in with our Fruit punch one. Oh, that just has that quintessential high C smell, like that really cherry orange flavor. Those are the two predominant flavors in fruit punch. If you smell it and you don't really know what it is, it's cherries and oranges. So if I had some fresh oranges, or if I had some fresh or frozen cherries, that would be a really good fruit to add with this too, but I don't. So this one just gets more juice. And that's it. So now I have my 3 bottles ready to stay on the counter for up to 24 more hours. I'm absolutely going to check these first thing in the morning, maybe give them a little burp. All you do is just take the cap off, offload some gas, and then you lightly put the cap back on. You're not screwing these on tight. And so these may be ready tomorrow morning, they might be ready tomorrow afternoon, but by tomorrow night, we are going to have kefir water, and we're going to try it for you to see here. Hey, so it's day 4 since I first started this water kefir journey, and in yesterday's video, you saw me take the bottles and pour them from the bigger jars into the smaller jars and add either fruit or more juice or both for the second fermentation. And now it's almost 24 hours since that point, and I noticed we've got a lot of fermentation going on. So that means these guys are ready to stop the fermentation and go right into the fridge, and they're ready to drink now. And I'm gonna be able to reap all those good gut healthy probiotic benefits from the kefir grains. If you remember, this is the grape one that had a little bit of coconut water in it too, and I added figs to this yesterday. And I just want to show you there's all kinds of bubbles. I can hear it fizzing. It sounds just like I opened a can of pop there. And we're just going to taste, see how it is. I'm going to give it a little stir. It's definitely fizzy. Oh, yum, yum, yum. Very soda-like, but not as cloyingly sweet, which is really cool. That's what I was hoping for with this. It still has that Concord grape juice flavor, but just not as, it just has a little bit of fermentation flavor. I don't know how to word it. I don't want to say sour because that's kind of misleading, but it's not rotten tasting. It's just that fizzy kombucha kind of flavor, if you've ever had that, but on a much milder scale. Kombucha to me tastes way more fermented than this kefir does. But this is ready to go in the fridge, and now I can screw this tight and go put it in my fridge. You do not want to leave these screwed tight and leave them on your counter, or they can continue to ferment, and they will, and they can bust. Flavor number 2 is the coconut water, pineapple juice, and fresh pineapple. And holy smokes, look at all that fermentation going on from the pineapple. So I would say that fresh pineapple, this one was one of the least fermented as of yesterday. And today and overnight, that just went crazy. So I'm kind of scared to try this one. I don't know if it's going to be too fermented and taste like booze, or just taste like it's rotten or off, or maybe it's going to taste awesome, but let's see. Oh, it tastes awesome. It tastes just like fresh pineapples, but pop. And that is so good. It's sweet and it's got a little bit of tang, but very, very, very fizzy. This might be my favorite, and I really thought grape was going to be. So this guy is still the least fizzy. This one never had fresh fruit added to it. This was just the fruit juice and the kefir grains. And so there is some fizz though, but this is the least fizzy of the 3. And let's just try this. This is just Minute Maid's fruit punch. So this is a very cherry orange flavor. Oh my word, it's so good though. Ooh, that has a surprising fizz. It doesn't have like a visible fizz like these guys did, but the carbonation is there for sure. I can't even pick a favorite, and I really like these better than kombucha, I think. And I still love kombucha. I'm still going to drink it. I want to have a diverse gut microbiome, and so I need to have a diverse source of the microbes. So kefir is definitely here to stay for me. And so the cool thing is I'm already making more. These jars today are where they were yesterday, because there's such a small fermentation process with kefir compared to kombucha. So kombucha takes a week for the first fermentation, then it takes another 3 days for the second fermentation. These start to finish now are 48 hours. So eventually I'm gonna end up with more kefir than I can drink. So I'll probably brew those two, and then maybe strain out the granules, rinse them off, and put them into that sugar water mixture that we started with in the very beginning, and just let them hang out in the fridge until we finish up. You know, these, I have 6 of these and then 2 more of those, which will make 4 more bottles. So I'm gonna end up with 10 bottles in 2 days. That's a lot to drink. And I still need to be drinking my water, and I still need to be drinking my kombucha too. So I just don't want to end up with too much stuff where it's just Chris and I. But overall, this is a very cheap and very easy and very gut healthy experiment that I'm so glad I did. I hope you do. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any other juice combinations that you think I should try, or if you've ever tried water kefir. And hit like and subscribe if you haven't yet, if you want to see more stuff like this. And I'm also excited, if you've stuck around and if you're a Coach Kathy fan, this is my 100th video. Yay! So I'm so excited that my channel's growing. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Share this if you want to. This is the best thing you can do to help my channel, is to share, like, and subscribe. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye!